The morning sky above New York City was blue and peaceful. People were going to work, drinking coffee and checking their phones. Nobody knew that in 30 minutes, everything would change forever. Sarah Chen sat in her office at the United Nations building. She was drinking tea and reading reports when her phone started ringing. The caller ID showed urgent Space Command. "Sarah here," she answered. "Ma'am, you need to see this. Something big is happening in space." Sarah ran to the command center. On the giant screen, she saw something that made her heart stop. Huge ships were coming toward Earth. These were not human ships. They were alien ships. The ships were beautiful and scary at the same time. They looked like giant crystals floating in space. They were silver and blue, with lights that moved like water. Each ship was bigger than a city, and there were hundreds of them. "How long until they reach us?" Sarah asked. 20 minutes, ma'am." Around the world, people looked up at the sky. The alien ships were so big that everyone could see them. Some people screamed. Some people prayed. Some people took pictures with their phones. The alien ships stopped above Earth's biggest cities. One massive ship hung over New York, another over London, another over Tokyo. They just floated there silent and waiting. Then the ship started to glow. A voice came from every TV, radio, and phone on Earth. The voice was deep and strong. "People of Earth, we are the Star Dominion. We rule 1,000 worlds across the galaxy. Today we add your world to our empire." Sarah felt cold. This was not the friendly first contact that movies always showed. The voice continued. "Your planet is now under our control. Your governments will surrender immediately. Anyone who fights us will be destroyed. We have weapons that can crack your planet like an egg." To prove their point, one alien ship fired a small beam into the ocean. The water exploded upward like a giant fountain. The explosion was so big that people felt the ground shake from miles away. "This was our smallest weapon," the alien voice said. "Surrender now, or face our full power." Sarah looked around the command center. Everyone was scared. Some people were crying. Others were shaking. The world's most powerful military leaders looked helpless. But Sarah noticed something strange. General Martinez, the head of Earth's secret space forces, was not scared. He was calm. "Too calm, General," Sarah whispered. "What aren't you telling us?" General Martinez smiled a little. "Sarah, sometimes the best defense is looking weak." Before Sarah could ask what he meant, the alien voice spoke again. "We will give you 1 hour to surrender. Send your leaders to the ship above your United Nations building. Come alone and unarmed. If you try to trick us, we will destroy your biggest cities." The giant alien ship above New York opened a hole in its bottom. A beam of light came down and touched the ground outside the UN building. "That's our door," the alien voice said. "Use it." Sarah felt sick. Was this how humanity would end? Not with a big war, but with a simple surrender. "I'll go," she said. "I'm the UN's alien contact specialist. This is my job." "Sarah, no," said General Martinez. "This is too dangerous. What choice do we have?" Sarah replied. "If we don't go, they'll destroy our cities." As Sarah prepared to meet the aliens, she didn't notice General Martinez quietly talking into his earpiece. She didn't hear him say the words that would change everything. "All units, this is command. The aliens have taken the bait. Repeat, they have taken the bait." Sarah walked toward the beam of light. News cameras filmed her from far away. The whole world was watching. She looked brave, but inside she was terrified. As she stepped into the light, she felt herself being lifted up toward the alien ship. The ground got smaller and smaller below her. Inside the alien ship, she met their commander. He was tall and thin with blue skin and 4 arms. His name was Zex Thul, and he looked at Sarah like she was a bug. "So you are Earth's representative," Zex Thul said with a mean smile. "How small you are." Behind him, Sarah could see other aliens working at strange machines. The ship was full of technology that hurt to look at. Everything was advanced beyond human understanding. "Your species is primitive," Zex Thul continued. "Your weapons are toys. Your ships are barely able to leave your atmosphere. Why should we not simply take your world by force?" Sarah tried to look scared, but inside she remembered General Martinez's strange, calm smile. "Please," she said, making her voice shake. "We just want peace. We're not fighters. We're just simple humans." Zex Thul laughed. "Simple humans. Yes, that's exactly what you are. But far below, in secret bases around the world, things were starting to move. Old ships that looked like space junk began to power up. Weapons that had been hidden for decades started to wake up. And in his command bunker, General Martinez spoke quietly into his radio. Phase 1 complete. The aliens think we're weak. Begin Protocol 7. What was Protocol 7? And why was everyone so calm about the alien invasion? The answers would shock the galaxy itself. On the alien ship above New York, Sarah Chen sat across from Commander Zex Thul. The alien leader looked very pleased with himself. His forearms moved as he talked, showing off his ship's amazing technology. "Look around you, human," Zex Thul said with a big smile. "See how advanced we are. Your entire planet could not build even one room of this ship." Sarah nodded and tried to look impressed. It's incredible. We humans are so far behind you." This was exactly what Zex Thul wanted to hear. He laughed and clapped his four hands together. "Finally, a human who understands. Yes, you are far behind. Thousands of years behind." While they talked, Sarah secretly looked around the ship. She saw alien soldiers carrying weapons that glowed with energy. She saw computers that seemed to think by themselves. Everything was smooth and clean and powerful. But Sarah also noticed something else. The aliens were relaxed. Too relaxed. They walked around like they had already won. Some of them were even eating snacks and laughing about how easy this conquest would be. "Tell me about your military," Zex Thul said. "How many ships do you have?" Sarah made herself look embarrassed. "Not many. Maybe a few hundred small ships. Nothing like yours. And weapons? Just basic missiles and lasers. Very weak compared to yours." Zex Thul nodded. "Good. Then this will be very simple. Your leaders will sign the surrender papers, and we will take control of your world. No fighting needed." Meanwhile, on Earth, something very different was happening. In a secret bunker deep underground, General Martinez stood in front of a wall of screens. Each screen showed different parts of the world, and on every screen, old human ships were starting to move. These ships looked terrible. They were rusty and old. Some had big holes in them, some looked like they were falling apart. To anyone watching, they looked like garbage ships that humans used to collect space junk. "Sir, all ghost ships are in position," reported Colonel Kim. She was Martinez's second in command. "Perfect," Martinez replied. "The aliens think we're primitive. Let's keep it that way." On the screens, Martinez could see alien ships all over Earth. They hung above every major city like metal clouds. The aliens inside them were probably laughing at the pathetic human ships moving around in space. One alien officer on Zex Thul's ship pointed at a screen showing the human junk ships. "Commander, the humans are moving some vessels," the officer said. Zex Thul barely looked. "What kind of vessels?" "They appear to be garbage collectors, sir. Very old and damaged." "Nothing to worry about," Zex Thul waved a hand. "Let them clean up their space trash. Soon it will all belong to us anyway." Back in the bunker, Colonel Kim smiled. "They're completely ignoring our ships." "Excellent," Martinez said. "Phase 2 can begin." Around the world, more things started happening. But they happened very quietly and carefully. In the Nevada desert, a mountain opened up. Inside, massive weapons started to power up. But they did it slowly, using very little energy, so the aliens wouldn't notice. Under the ocean, submarine bases that didn't exist on any map began to wake up. Hundreds of underwater ships started moving toward their targets. In space stations that looked like broken satellites, human soldiers put on their armor and checked their weapons. These weren't the simple weapons that Sarah had told Zex Thul about. These were weapons that could cut through anything. But the most important thing happened in Earth's moon. Deep inside the moon, in a base that had been built in secret over 50 years ago, the most powerful human ship ever created started to power up. Its name was the Silence, and it was about to live up to its name. Back on the alien ship, Sarah continued to play her part. "Please," she said to Zex Thul, "can you give us more time to prepare the surrender? Our leaders are scared. They need time to convince our people." Zex Thul looked annoyed. "How much time?" "Maybe 6 hours." The alien commander thought about this. 6 hours would give him time to position his ships perfectly. It would let his troops rest before taking control of the planet. and it would make the humans feel even more hopeless. "Fine," he said. 6 hours, but if you try any tricks, I will destroy your largest cities as examples." "No tricks," Sarah promised. "We just want our people to be ready." But down in the bunker, General Martinez was smiling. 6 hours was exactly what he needed. "All units, this is command." He spoke into his radio. "We have 6 hours to final position. Move to Phase 3. Around Earth, the old junk ships started moving in patterns. To the aliens it looked random, but it wasn't random at all. Each ship was moving to a very specific place. The aliens didn't know that these garbage ships were actually the most dangerous weapons humans had ever built. They didn't know that each ship had enough firepower to destroy a small moon. They didn't know that humanity had been preparing for this day for decades, and they definitely didn't know that every primitive human technology they could see was fake. The real human technology was hidden, waiting for the right moment. On Zexthul's ship, an alien officer looked at his scanner again. "Sir, those human ships, what about them?" Zexthul asked, not really caring. The officer stared at his screen. The readings were strange. "Very strange, sir. They're moving into attack formation." Zexthul laughed. "Attack formation? With those broken ships? Let them try. It will be amusing." But the officer's face had gone pale. His scanner was showing something impossible. "Commander," he said quietly, "I'm reading massive power signatures from those ships." Zexthul stopped laughing. "What did you say?" "The ships. They're powering up something big." For the first time since arriving at Earth, Zexthul felt worried. On his scanner screen, red warning lights began to flash, and in the bunker on Earth, General Martinez spoke the words that would change everything. "All ships, this is command. 60 seconds to weapons free. Show them what humans really are." What happens next will shock the galaxy. The moment that changed galactic history started with a single beep. On the alien ship above New York, the scanner officer stared at his screen in horror. Red lights were flashing everywhere. Numbers were climbing higher and higher. "Commander Zexthul," the officer shouted. "The human ships, their power levels are impossible." Zexthul rushed to the scanner. What he saw made his blood freeze. The pathetic human junk ships were showing energy readings that should not exist. "This must be a mistake," Zexthul said. "Run the scan again." But before the officer could answer, something incredible happened all around Earth. The old human ships began to change. Metal plates that looked rusty and broken started to slide away. Underneath, gleaming silver and black metal appeared. Fake damage disappeared as hidden panels opened up. Weapons that looked broken suddenly came to life with bright blue energy. The ships weren't junk at all. They were the most advanced war machines in the galaxy, and they had been hiding in plain sight. "Impossible," Zexthul screamed. "This is impossible." On Earth, Sarah Chen was still sitting in the alien ship, pretending to be scared. But inside, she was counting down the seconds. 4, 2, 1. Her earpiece came alive with General Martinez's voice. "Sarah, get ready. Operation Revelation begins now." Suddenly, Sarah's scared expression changed completely. She stood up straight and smiled. The fear was gone. In its place was the confident look of a trained military officer. What are you doing?" Zexthul demanded. "Dropping the act," Sarah replied calmly. "My name is Captain Sarah Chen, Earth Defense Force, and you just fell for the oldest trick in the book." Outside the ship's windows, the transformation was complete. Where there had been hundreds of broken human ships, now there was a fleet of gleaming war vessels. Each ship was sleek and deadly, covered in weapons that hummed with power. But that wasn't the most shocking part. More ships started appearing out of nowhere. They didn't fly in from other planets. They didn't come through any doors. They just appeared. One moment there was empty space, and the next moment there was a massive human battleship. Stealth technology. The humans had been invisible the whole time. "How many ships do you have?" Zexthul whispered. Sarah looked out the window as more and more human ships appeared around Earth. There were thousands of them. Big ones, small ones, and some that were so huge they looked like floating cities. "Enough," she said simply. The alien crew was panicking now. Officers were running around shouting orders, trying to understand what was happening. "Sir, the humans have us surrounded, sir." Our weapons can't lock onto their ships. Sir, they're jamming all our communications. Zexthul grabbed Sarah by the arm. This is a trick. Humans don't have this technology. Sarah looked at him with pity. You really don't know anything about us, do you? That's when the human ships started to move. And they moved in ways that should have been impossible. The ships didn't just fly forward or backward. They slipped sideways through space like fish swimming through water. Some of them seemed to fold space around themselves, appearing on the other side of alien ships in the blink of an eye. One human ship was directly in front of an alien battleship. The alien ship fired its main weapon, a beam of energy that could destroy a mountain. The beam hit the human ship directly. Nothing happened. The human ship's shields didn't even flicker. Then it was the humans' turn. The same human ship fired a single small beam at the alien battleship. The beam was thin and looked harmless. It hit the alien ship's massive shield generator. The shield generator exploded. The entire alien battleship went dark and started floating helplessly in space. One shot, Sarah said to Zexthul. One shot to disable your most powerful ship, and that was our smallest weapon. Around Earth, the same thing was happening everywhere. Human ships were easily destroying alien weapons while taking no damage at all. It wasn't even a fair fight. But the humans weren't trying to destroy the alien ships. They were just disabling them, proving a point. You're not killers, Zexthul said with surprise. No, Sarah agreed. We're not. We could have destroyed your entire fleet in the first 10 seconds. Instead, we're giving you a chance to leave peacefully. Zexthul looked around his ship. Half of his systems were offline. His weapons were useless. His shields were gone. And outside, thousands of human ships waited patiently for his decision. I don't understand, he said. If you have this technology, why do you live on one small planet? Why don't you have an empire like ours? Sarah's expression became serious. Because we learned something a long time ago. Something that you and every other species in the galaxy forgot. What? That the most dangerous creatures in the universe are the ones who choose to look harmless. Zexthul felt his legs getting weak. What are you? Sarah walked to the window and looked out at the human fleet. Ships that could destroy planets floated silently in space, their weapons powered down, waiting for orders that might never come. We're the species that survived the Void War, she said quietly. The alien commander went completely pale. His forearms started shaking. The Void War is just a legend, he whispered. It happened 1,000 years ago. No one survived it. Sarah turned back to him with a sad smile. One species did survive it. One species learned to build weapons that could kill things that shouldn't exist. One species became so good at war that they scared themselves. Outside, more human ships continued to appear. But these ships looked different. Older. Darker. They had marks and scars that told stories of battles against enemies that normal minds couldn't understand. That's why we hid, Sarah continued. After the Void War ended, we realized something terrible. We had become the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. So we went home. We pretended to be primitive. We watched and protected the galaxy from the shadows. Zexthul slumped into his command chair. You've been watching us this whole time? Every species, every war, every threat. We've been there, keeping the galaxy safe from things you can't imagine. The alien commander looked out at the human fleet with new understanding. These weren't conquerors, they were guardians, and they had been protecting everyone without anyone knowing. So what happens now? He asked. Sarah was about to answer when every screen on the alien ship started flashing red. An alarm began to sound, not from the alien ship but from the human fleet. Sarah pressed her earpiece. Martinez, what's happening? The general's voice came through, and for the first time he sounded scared. Sarah, we've got a problem. A big problem. Long-range sensors are detecting massive energy signatures at the edge of the solar system. What kind of signatures? The kind we hoped we'd never see again. Sarah's face went white. She looked at Zexthul with genuine fear in her eyes. What is it? The alien commander asked. The reason we built all these weapons, Sarah whispered. The reason we've been hiding and watching and preparing for 1,000 years. Outside, space itself began to tear open like fabric being ripped apart. Through the tier, something dark and terrible started to push through, something that should not exist. "The Void," Sarah said. "They're coming back. The real war is about to begin." Part 4. The Dark Truth About Humanity. Previously, humans revealed their true power and easily defeated the alien fleet. Sarah Chen told Commander Zexthul that humans survived something called the Void War. But now space itself is tearing open, and something dark and terrible is coming through. The tiers in space grew bigger and darker. Through each tier, shapes began to push through into normal space. But these were not ships like humans or aliens built. These were things that hurt to look at. Black shapes that seemed to absorb light itself. On the alien command ship, Sarah Chen stared at the scanner readings with horror. "How many?" Commander Zexthul asked quietly. 50 ships so far," Sarah replied. "But more tiers are opening." The alien commander had never seen anything like this. The dark ships moved in ways that made no sense. They slipped through space like swimming through water. Sometimes they were in one place, and then suddenly they were somewhere else entirely. "What are those things?" Zexthul whispered. Sarah's face was pale with old memories. "The reason we built all our weapons. The reason we learned to hide. The reason we've been watching the galaxy for 1,000 years." She pressed her communicator. "General Martinez, all human ships to battle formation Omega. This is not a drill." "Copy that, Sarah. All ships moving to Omega formation." Outside, the human fleet began to change again. But this time it was different. The ships moved with deadly purpose. Weapons that had been hidden even from the aliens began to emerge from the human vessels. These were not the weapons they had used against the alien fleet. Those had been designed to disable and capture. These new weapons were designed for only one purpose, to kill things that should not exist. "I need to tell you a story," Sarah said to Zexthul. "A true story that happened 1,000 years ago." As she spoke, the dark ships continued to pour through the tiers in space. Now there were over 100 of them. "Long ago, the galaxy was peaceful," Sarah began. "Hundreds of different species lived and traded together. There were small wars sometimes, but nothing serious. It was a golden age." On the scanner, more tiers opened. The dark ships were spreading out, surrounding Earth and the alien fleet. Then something came from outside the galaxy. Something from the empty space between galaxies, where nothing should be able to live. Zexthul watched the dark ships with growing fear. The void creatures, yes, but we didn't call them that at first. We called them the Silence because wherever they went, all communication stopped. All life stopped. They didn't just kill people. They made it like those people had never existed at all. Sarah's voice became quiet and sad. The first species to encounter them was the Eternal Empire. They had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. They had technology that could move stars and create new worlds. What happened to them? Gone. Not just their people, but their entire history. Their worlds became empty space. Their achievements were erased. It was like they had never existed. The scanner beeped. More dark ships were arriving. Now there were over 300. The galaxy finally understood the threat. Sarah continued. Every species put aside their differences. The Grand Alliance was formed. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier, all united against the Void. Zexthul was listening carefully. This was the greatest war in galactic history, and it had been hidden from everyone. The war lasted 50 years. Entire star systems were destroyed in single battles. The Void creatures had weapons that could break reality itself. They could make cause happen after effect. They could kill people in the past so they were never born. But the Alliance won. Sarah's laugh was bitter. No, the Alliance lost, badly. One by one, every species was destroyed or driven away. The galaxy became empty and dark. The alien commander felt cold. But, "You're here!" Humans survived. Barely. Sarah turned to look out at the human fleet. Humans were the youngest species in the galaxy. We had just learned to build spaceships. Everyone thought we were primitive and weak. Outside, the human ships were now glowing with energy. Weapons were charging up that made the air itself hum with power. When the Alliance was losing, they gave us a choice. Run away and hide, or stay and fight a battle we could never win. What did humans choose? We chose to fight, not because we thought we could win, but because running away felt wrong. Sarah walked to the window and pointed at the largest human ship, a massive vessel that looked like it was built from black metal and starlight. That ship is called the Last Hope. It's over 1,000 years old. It was built during the final battle of the Void War. Zexthul stared at the ancient ship. Even now, it looked more advanced than anything his people had ever built. The final battle happened right here, in this solar system, Sarah continued. Earth was just a primitive world then, but it was our home. The void creatures came to destroy it, and we made our last stand. The dark ships were moving closer now. Some of them were enormous, bigger than cities. They moved in complete silence like sharks swimming through space. We had learned something during the war, Sarah said. The void creatures came from a place where different rules apply. Normal weapons couldn't really hurt them. But weapons built with certain principles, weapons that used the fundamental forces of reality itself, those could kill them. The humans built such weapons. We built weapons that scared us. Weapons that could unmake things on a quantum level. Weapons that could reach into other dimensions and drag our enemies into nothingness. Sarah's voice became very quiet. We built weapons that made us into monsters. On the scanner, the void ships had stopped moving. They were just waiting, surrounding the human and alien fleets like a closing trap. But we won the war, Sarah continued. The last battle lasted 3 days. When it was over, every void creature in the galaxy was dead or fled back to wherever they came from. And the other species? Gone. We were the only ones left. Humans and our terrible weapons alone in an empty galaxy. Zexthul began to understand. So you hid. We realized something horrible. In order to defeat the void, we had become something almost as dangerous. We had weapons that could destroy entire galaxies. We had ships that could travel through time. We had the power to remake reality itself. Sarah turned back to face the alien commander. We were terrified of ourselves. So we hid our technology. We made Earth look primitive. We watched as new species developed across the galaxy, and we protected them without them knowing. You've been protecting us this whole time. Every war that ended too quickly. Every plague that mysteriously stopped spreading. Every asteroid that changed course at the last moment. That was us keeping the galaxy safe. The communicator crackled to life. Sarah, this is Martinez. The void ships are moving again. They're forming attack patterns. Sarah straightened up. The time for stories was over. General, are all human ships ready? Yes, ma'am. All Void War weapons are online. All crews are at battle stations. What about civilian evacuation? Completed. Every human, alien, and other civilian in the system has been moved to safe zones. Sarah turned to Zexthul. Commander, I need to ask you something important. What? Your fleet. You can run away now. This isn't your fight. The void creatures came here for us, not you. Zexthul looked out at the dark ships surrounding them. Then he looked at Sarah. Captain Chen, my species has lived in peace for 800 years because someone was protecting us. We never knew who. Now I know it was you. He stood up straight and saluted her. My ships will fight beside yours. Sarah smiled for the first time since the void creatures arrived. Then we do this together. Martinez, patch me through to all ships, human and alien. A moment later, Sarah's voice reached every warrior in the system. This is Captain Sarah Chen. 1,000 years ago, my people fought these creatures alone. Today, we don't have to be alone. She looked at Zexthul, who nodded. Today, we fight together. Today, we show the void that the galaxy has guardians. And today, we make sure that the light never goes out. Outside, the void ships began their attack. The second Void War was about to begin, but this time, humanity would not fight alone. The space around Earth looked like a nightmare. Dark tiers in reality stretched across the sky, and from each tier came ships that hurt to look at. These were not ships made of metal or crystal. They were things that seemed to absorb light itself. The void creatures had returned after 1,000 years, and they were hungry. On the alien command ship, Sarah Chen and Commander Zexthul watched the horror unfold. Hundreds of void ships poured into their solar system like black poison spreading through water. How many are there? Zexthul whispered. Too many, Sarah replied. Her hands were shaking as she spoke into her communicator. General Martinez, what's our status? Not good, Sarah. We count over 2,000 void ships and more coming every minute. Our fleet is outnumbered 10-1. Zexthul stood up from his command chair. For the first time since arriving at Earth, he looked truly brave. Captain Chen, he said formally, my fleet has 800 ships. They're not as advanced as yours, but my people know how to fight. Sarah looked at him with surprise. You want to help us? These creatures destroyed my grandfather's homeworld during the First Void War. My family has waited 1,000 years for revenge. Outside the ship, the first wave of void creatures reached the human defense line. The battle that followed was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships fought with weapons that bent reality itself. They fired beams that could cut through space and time. Their shields were made of folded dimensions that made attacks bounce into other universes. But the void creatures were not normal enemies. They were things that existed between life and death, between real and unreal. Human weapons that could destroy planets only slowed them down. Sarah! General Martinez's voice cracked through the radio. Our weapons are having some effect, but not enough. We need more firepower. That's when Sarah made the most important decision in galactic history. General, patch me through to every ship in the system. Human and alien. Sarah, what are you doing? Something that should have happened 1,000 years ago. A moment later, Sarah's voice reached every warrior in the solar system, human, alien, and everything in between. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. 1,000 years ago, every species in the galaxy fought the Void War alone. We won, but barely. Today we have a choice. We can fight alone again and maybe lose everything, or we can fight together and save the galaxy. On alien ships across the system, commanders listened to her words. Many had never heard of humans before today. Others knew humans only as myths and legends. I'm offering you our technology, Sarah continued. Our weapons, our shields, our tactics. Everything we learned in the Void War. In return, I'm asking for your ships, your courage, and your trust. For a long moment, space was silent except for the sounds of battle. Then Zexthul's voice came over the radio. Commander Zexthul of the Star Dominion accepts your offer. My ships are at your command. Within seconds, more voices joined in. Captain Vel 9 of the Crystal Fleet accepts. Admiral Thorax of the Iron Worlds accepts. Commander Scylla of the Wind Riders accepts. Soon, hundreds of alien commanders were pledging their ships to the fight. Martinez, Sarah said with tears in her eyes, begin Operation Unity. Share our weapon frequencies with all allied ships. What happened next was incredible. Human technology began flowing to alien ships across the system. Weak alien weapons suddenly became powerful enough to hurt void creatures. Thin alien shields became strong enough to survive void attacks. But more importantly, human tactics began spreading through the Allied fleet. All ships, this is General Martinez, form mixed squadrons. 1 human ship, 2 alien ships per group. Humans will handle the heavy fighting. Aliens will provide support in numbers. The change was immediate. Where before the human ships had been fighting alone against overwhelming odds, now they had help. Alien ships used their speed and numbers to surround void creatures, while human ships delivered the killing blows. Sarah and Zexthul worked together from the command ship, coordinating the battle. Void ships attacking Sector 7, Zexthul reported. Crystal Fleet, move to intercept. Sarah ordered. Use formation Delta 7. Human ship Thunder is damaged and drifting, came another report. Star Dominion rescue ships, can you reach them? Sarah asked. Already on our way, Zexthul replied with a smile. For the first time in the battle, the Allies were winning, but the void was not finished. The largest space tear yet opened near Earth's moon. From it came something that made everyone's blood freeze, a void dreadnought. It was huge, bigger than Earth's largest cities. It was also impossibly dark, like a hole cut in reality itself. And it was heading straight for Earth. All ships concentrate fire on the dreadnought, Sarah ordered. Every weapon in the Allied fleet fired at once. The combined firepower could have destroyed 100 planets. The dreadnought absorbed every shot and kept coming. Our weapons aren't working, Someone screamed over the radio. Sarah felt despair creeping into her heart. Had they come so far only to fail now? That's when she remembered something from the old Void War records, something her grandfather had told her when she was little. The strongest weapon against darkness is not light, she whispered. What? Zexthul asked. It's hope, Sarah said louder. Martinez, do we still have the silence? The silence is ready, but Sarah, if we use it, every void creature in the galaxy will know where we are. They already know where we are. Fire the silence. From the hidden base inside Earth's moon, a ship launched that was unlike anything else in the galaxy. The silence was not built to destroy enemies. It was built to inspire allies. As it flew toward the void dreadnought, the silence began to sing. It was not a sound that could be heard with ears. It was a song that reached directly into the souls of every living being in the system. It sang of home, of family, of all the beautiful things worth fighting for. The void creatures, being things without souls, could not understand the song. But it hurt them anyway because it reminded the universe that they did not belong. All ships, Sarah said softly, one more time, for everyone we love. The final attack was not just weapons and shields and tactics. It was every species in the system fighting with everything they had for the future of the galaxy. Human ships provided the power. Alien ships provided the numbers. And together, they provided something that the Void could never understand. Hope. The Void dreadnought cracked like glass. The smaller Void ships began fleeing back through their space tears. Within minutes, the tears themselves began to close. The battle was over. The galaxy was safe. In the quiet that followed, Sarah and Zexthul stood together looking out at the mixed fleet of human and alien ships. What happens now? Zexthul asked. Sarah smiled. Now we do what we should have done 1,000 years ago. We work together. The Galactic Alliance? The Galactic Alliance, Sarah agreed. Over the following days, representatives from every species met on Earth. They signed treaties, shared technology, and made promises to protect each other. Humans agreed to come out of hiding and join the galactic community, but not as conquerors, as partners. Aliens agreed to help watch for signs of the Void's return, because everyone knew this would not be the last battle. But they also knew something else now. They knew that when darkness threatened the galaxy again, they would not face it alone. They would face it together, and together they were unstoppable. 6 months later, Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the new Alliance flagship, a ship built with the best technology from every species in the galaxy. Beside her stood Admiral Zexthul, her partner in command of the new Galactic Defense Force. Contact from the Outer Rim, reported the communications officer, a young human working alongside an alien partner. What is it? Sarah asked. Unknown signals, ma'am. Could be another species asking to join the Alliance. Sarah and Zexthul looked at each other and smiled. Set course for the Outer Rim, Sarah ordered. Let's go make some new friends. As the Alliance ship jumped into hyperspace, Earth watched from behind them. The planet was no longer alone and hidden. It was part of something bigger, something stronger, something that would last for 1,000 years and more. The galaxy had learned the most important lesson of all. The greatest weapon against any darkness is not superior firepower. It's standing together in the light. The end.